My ultimate goal is to build a desert forest, but forests aren't just about trees, they're about cycles. Life and nutrients are exchanged in a delicate balance, and animals are always part of that equation. And that is where agave comes in. Agave and cactus are perfect for my climate. Living cisterns, capable of storing water, and thriving under the harshest conditions. But getting them established on my land has been a bigger challenge than I anticipated. I mean, how bad do you have to be at farming to not grow cactus or agave in a desert, right? 2 years ago, I went to Guanajuato, Mexico to learn about an agave-based agroforestry system. My first attempts to grow agave failed, and that was in spite of everything I learned during my trip. What worked in Mexico didn't translate directly to my site. I tried directly planting seeds inside of my dirt bathtubs and hoping for the best. But hope is not a strategy. My failures, let's use a different word. My learning experiences taught me something critical. In the past, I would aim for efficiency. How do I get my desired outcome with the least amount of effort? But I've learned from doing this Dust Ups project that sometimes you need to overinvest to give yourself the best opportunity to succeed. Efficiency can come later. Success is the foundation you build on, and that's what I'm working towards now. In this episode, I'll show you how I've shifted my approach with agave and taken control of my future by starting agave seeds at home with a renewed commitment to making this system work. Not good that the refrigerator froze my compost. That really hurts a lot of it. Put it on a lower shelf. And we had rain last night, so these random buckets that were sitting out collected rainwater. May as well use it. This isn't normal compost, it's Johnson Stew compost. And part of the recipe is to vigorously shake it for 90 seconds. And that's to extract as many of the microbes off of the compost as possible. And then we'll use that to coat the agave seeds. Pouring the water in here. Just enough to coat them. There we go. I'm just going to very gently spread some soil on top, like maybe a 1/4 inch. It has been 2 weeks on the agave, and I have a grand total of 0 germinations. One problem I had was with the fungus, and so what I did was to just start taking this on and off, and you can see the soil is still reasonably moist, but nothing's happened. I did a test previously with red yucca where I planted it in a paper towel in a sealed Ziploc bag, and I got all of those to germinate successfully. So I'm gonna try 2 different methods. The first thing I'm gonna do is spray neem oil in there. I'm gonna plant new seeds from a different source on the other side, seeing if I can get them to germinate that way. The second thing I'm gonna do is use the same seeds. I'm going to use a paper towel and put them in a sealed Ziploc bag with neem oil and disinfecting everything. Run 2 different experiments at the same time, trying to see which one seems to be the most effective at getting the agave to germinate and get going. But before I do any of that, the first thing I'm going to do is the Johnson Stew treatment. These are my agave seeds that I bought. They are Agave Salmiana and Agave Havardiana. Here's 20,000 seeds. Actually, 21,000 seeds because I got a second variety of Salmiana. Most of it, what I got is Salmiana, and I got Salmiana crassuspina. And then I got just Havardiana. Oh, and I forgot, I bought 100 ovatifolia seeds. So 21,100 seeds. I'm going to try to do 100 seeds, enough to make the experiment worthwhile, but where I don't risk messing everything up. The last thing I'm doing is I'm going to boil water and sanitize my paper towel and my plastic bag so that I minimize the chance of growing mold. And now we'll just let that cool down slowly. The reason I selected neem oil is that it's not going to interfere with the Jiangsu, but it's supposed to suppress the growth of the harmful fungus that I don't want. All of the seeds have now sunk to the bottom, which is excellent. These feel so much softer, the seeds. I left the paper towel and bag in the refrigerator overnight just so I don't start growing fungus. There's no reason to give them a head start over the seeds. And I wrung this out really well, but now I gotta untangle it. The seeds I planted from the first vendor are all in this row. So I'm gonna plant everything over here. And now that those are on the heating pad, I just need to make sure that the house is a little more warm than I want it. That heating pad will heat it up at least 10 degrees. I need the soil temps over 80 in order to get the agave to germinate. It's Thanksgiving morning, and it looks like I have something to be very thankful for. I don't know if it's going to come out. There it is. You can see it on camera. That is my first successful germination of Agave salmiana, which I am so incredibly excited about. Love that. I do need to spray some neem on that fungus, but that's very exciting. I don't think I'm likely to have a germination in the paper towel method because it's been running a little dry. I had to add water to the bag yesterday, and I may have added a little too much. Although I hope I'm wrong. I hope that I see some green. Nothing yet. Also, I've been emailing a viewer named Hugo who's helping me grow agave. He's growing agave Americana instead of salmiana. Instead of doing it like this and being quite so meticulous, he puts it on a paper towel and then puts it in either a Pyrex container or Tupperware. He puts it in Tupperware and just has the seeds laying flat on the paper towel, and that seems to be working out really well for him. So next time I don't have to be quite so meticulous laying out the agave. But let's put this back in the bag and get it back on the heat pad. The paper towel method is supposed to be the most effective, but I'm having more success so far germinating directly in cactus potting mix or succulent potting mix. So I'll probably keep doing this over time, but this is also the benefit of doing multiple methods, is you have more chances to succeed. So we'll put it back and keep on waiting. Good morning. It's time for a road trip. Brandon and I left Sierra Blanca at 6 this morning. Brandon's going to Midland. He will meet Chris at Cindy's house, who's been very kind to donate all of the agave that she has overgrowing her yard. We're going to transplant that onto the terraces, get hopefully an agave orchard going. But first, we need agave.
Hello. Brandon.
Cindy.
Cindy. So it's this
Right.
that goes into this place. This stays. And so that would mean
that's kind of like a center.
Coming.
There's quite a bit there.
Wow.
But yeah.
This is not what I pictured at all. One came up pretty good. Oh, that one snapped. tiny little one.
R.I.P. So you had a German out there?
Yeah, he was cool kid.
Yeah, I was like, dang, he made it in that Kia? That's pretty cool.
He'd like to do a similar project in the future. And so I think he found it instructive.
There's some pressure built up.
Well, that didn't sound very good. No, not good at all. I need to rethink my strategy here.
Everything we are doing is new, at least for us. Whether it's starting the agave from seed or figuring out the best way to dig agave out of the ground, none of these things are particularly difficult. They are, however, new for us. And when we're doing something new on camera, it's like any other skill, it comes with a learning curve. The new skill we're developing is figuring out how do we dig agave out of the ground without severing the roots. Thank you to Equip for sponsoring today's episode. I drink Equip every day while I'm out here for a lot of reasons, but the main reason is because it's the cleanest protein I can find on the market. It's made from grass-fed natural beef. When I'm going to take protein powder, I am doing it for my health, so I want the cleanest possible protein powder that I can find. I'm sure you're paying attention to food and inflation, and it costs a lot of money to eat just meat, so for me to supplement my diet with enough protein for me to build muscle mass and keep my weight in check, I find protein powder is a great solution. Equip is committed to transparency. They really care about delivering the cleanest protein on the market to you. I've had great results with Prime Protein, and I know you will too. Go to equipfoods.com/dustups and use the promotion code DUSTUPS. You can take 20% off of your first order, or if you do a subscription, you can take 35% off of your first subscription. Again, the link is equipfoods.com/dustups, and the promotion code is DUSTUPS. That gets you 20% off of your first order, or if you take advantage of the subscription, you get 35% off of your first subscription. I'm jumping a little bit ahead here because in this road trip, Brandon had already dropped me off at home. We really wanted to get these agave planted in the ground as soon as possible. He did that work on his own while I was back home in Fort Worth. I'm so pleased with what he did here by over-investing to make sure that these agave do well. We collected the first batch of agave from Cindy's house and transplanted them on the original terrace. They're doing okay, although they started to suffer as we had a heat wave that came really late in the fall. We eventually had to cover those with shade cloths so they'd get a break from the unrelenting heat and the sun. And Brandon, on his own initiative, knew that these agave were going to need more support than what we provided on our first attempt. I'm delighted to see how clever he was using the local resources to give these agave the best shot possible. I didn't ask him to make potting soil, but he did that on his own initiative, in addition to making the rock circles and digging out the holes for the transplants to have nice, loose, soft soil with nutrients and water retention capabilities. You might notice that this terrace is going to look a lot different than the earlier one. On the bottom terrace, I have 4 rows of mulch that are very tightly spaced. That was a result of me not making the terrace wide enough to follow the original plan. But after learning from my mistake, this new terrace is at least 20 feet wide. And what I've done to make it work is add 1 row of the syntropic agroforestry system, which is the desert forest, and then you'll see 3 rows of agave. The agave are planted 2 meters apart, or approximately 6 feet from their nearest neighbors. When summer 2025 rolls around, I'm really hoping that we establish grasses in the space between all of these agave. It's going to help everything in the system with protection from the wind for the agave, and it's also going to be our mulch source for the baby trees. It's one of those things that you just kind of notice without paying attention, but every time I've seen Brandon gather mulch, he just has this preference for the soap tree yucca. And when it decays in the shape of little barrels. Each level of the barrel has a ring with the yucca shooting out its dagger-like leaves. Brandon decided to not only mulch the agave, but the size and the shape of the mulch worked out perfectly. The agave fit inside of these little organic barrels, and that gives them shelter from the sun and the wind. I didn't know anything about this approach before Brandon sent me these videos, and I was so happy to see him design a mulching system like this. It's clever and it makes perfect sense for our context. I jumped ahead to stay on the agave theme, but we got a lot more mileage out of this road trip. We didn't just go for agave. The first stop was in Snyder, Texas, where we met an environmental engineer named Casey. His company had a project with leftover erosion control blankets, or ECB. And these are the expensive kind made out of coconut coir. It's worth several $1,000s and it's just sitting out in the middle of the field. So we are going to go pick it up because the company's not allowed to reuse it, which reminds me, if you work for an environmental engineering company and you have clients with ECB laying around and you'd like to see it get put to a good use, we will come pick it up if you got enough of it. Email me or leave a comment and we'll get connected. But once we get on site, I'll ask Casey to explain what erosion control blankets are and why they're a really good idea for dust ups. I'm following you.
All right. So it's been down for about 2 years. You see it's already starting to biodegrade.
Yeah.
But everything can still like come up through it.
Yeah.
We have a big hog problem here, so we put this down instead of like straw. So that way the hogs wouldn't tear it up. But it keeps everything from chewing it up. We did it all the way down. It's best to use it on an incline because it'll hold all the sediment in place and stuff. You can use it on a flat surface if you want. It'll act as like a pseudo mulch, but it's best used on an incline to hold sediment in place.
Well, we're not lacking for inclines.
Yeah, but it'll look like this all the way down. And we just broadcast seed all throughout here. All of that was broadcast seed with this over the top of it. And I showed you the pictures beforehand. It was completely bare. So before I came on this project, it took about a year. They'd finished the project. They couldn't get grass to grow. They kept trying to replant. So I came on and gave them some advice, but we were having a bunch of erosion off of this area down into there. That's why there's all that dirt down in there. So that's why we needed the ECB here first, so we didn't lose all of our topsoil to erosion, and that all of our seed was washing out. That's why there's a bunch of grass growing down in there. So all of our seed was washing out.
Yeah. I mean, at least they grew, just in the right spot.
Yeah, exactly. They bring me on whenever they're having problems. You know, they pay me to tell them how to grow grass, really.
So basically, you show up when things aren't going right.
Yeah, exactly. And if you want to see some bad erosion, you can go about a mile further down the road than y'all were. You'll cross over like a little bridge, and on both sides, they put a little rock bridge over it. They didn't put anything down on the sides, and it eroded out crazy. You can see the proper way to do it. You can see the wrong way to do it if you go about a mile down the road. That's 1.3 miles. So you plan on using it along your beaver dams?
Yeah, I think that's the best use for it. We're still working on it, but I've got the oats. They should be there by the time Brandon gets back. We got to do a little more change on the dams. Every time I look at them, I think, it's like we need to make some tweaks, but it's getting there.
How big's the trailer? Because I think these are 8 foot. I don't think it's 8 foot long. You can pick them up with one person, but they're easier with 2. I wear gloves when I put it on because you'll have this coconut crap all over you. It'll be itchy all the way home. I'll send you the spec sheet, Sean, for it. I'll tell you how to install it. There's more staples right back there if y'all want them to.
Won't hurt.
Well, I'd rather you take them because it's one less thing that I have to come out here and clean up later.
Sweet. I'm glad to be of assistance, Casey. We'll start with
I think
2 piles for a second. One like him.
I had 5 more at home, but I ended up giving those to another project. Yeah, they can be picked up by one person because I loaded the ones you got from my house by myself.
yeah, it's not the most fun thing, but doable for sure. I'll do the placing.
Yeah, they're just a big long pain in the butt. I was trying to keep them off the ground. Trying to keep them off the ground as much as possible to keep them from eroding out. But
Looks like less on the trailer.
yeah. Yeah, overall, I think you should have about 20 rolls.
Wow.
Should be 10 right here. And you got 11 from my house, so should have.
How many I got?
Yeah. 5 the first time and 6 the second.
Yeah, it's all in my backyard right now, so I mean, now it's definitely worth the trip because, yeah, 20 ECB rolls, it's not chump change.
Yeah, we sell them for about, well, we buy them for about $200 a roll.
Yeah.
So. Careful with these staples, don't get tetanus. they've been out here for a while.
The gift that keeps on giving. We better put those in the bed because.
Do you have like a bag or something you want to put them in? Because otherwise, as you're driving, it's going to end up everywhere.
We've got something.
A bucket or something.
Tie these up.
I watched that, the one where you teamed up with the other guy, and everybody was being so critical about your check dance.
Oh yeah.
I was like,
It's like, man, like you guys just are clearly gonna whine and complain about everything.
yeah,
Like,
it doesn't matter what you do.
yeah.
You could probably, yeah, you probably stack them up. Like if they'll fit in the box.
Are they wired together or anything?
No, they're loose. See if the whole box will fit.
Bank line in here. We can tie up those other ones and just set them in.
Okay, yeah, that box is probably the worst. That and this one. There's not much left of this one either, but these 2 boxes can probably just sit in there, free float. But yeah, I was like, those check dams work just fine unless it's a 10-year flood, and it doesn't matter what you got, it's gonna flood either way. So
I tried so hard to communicate, like that watershed is maybe 2 acres. And each one of those check dams has probably 3 to 4.5 tons of rock.
yeah, and if you widen out the channel, it's still gonna cut a channel right in the middle.
Yeah.
And it's gonna become just a little washout zone, and then it's still gonna cut the same exact channel over time. The best thing to do is velocity, is just to slow everything down.
Yeah, it's better than a brick wall.
Yeah,
Because it's designed to fall apart.
yeah, exactly. Then you can just put it back up, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Is this a problem for you?
If you want to take it, if you can take it, that'd be great.
Yeah, because we're going to be collecting pallets for livestock fencing.
All yours.
And
I don't want it.
think anybody's lifting anything with this in the future.
No, it's done.
Yeah.
It's kind of eroded out, but you can at least salvage some of the boards off the top.
Well, I'm more thinking like we literally, because one of my neighbors, she keeps livestock, and she puts T-posts on each side, and then she has cattle panel, and then she ties rebar wire to connect this to the cattle panel. Like they're not going through that.
Yeah, for sure. One less thing for me to have to deal with.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I'm glad that as you're helping me, I can help you.
Yeah, exactly. It would have been best to put it underneath.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I can tie it.
I'm more thinking about the agave when you do it.
Where's the agave going?
Here.
Okay.
Or on top of this, like pretty much wherever you can fit it, it's not going to just fly off.
It's not that big a deal to move it. Just
Okay.
go with it.
I feel like I'm in a really weird log rolling contest.
You can buy a lot cheaper ECB. Coconut just works best for if you're in like a really rough area and you need it to be able to biodegrade. The synthetic stuff's a lot cheaper, but it doesn't biodegrade. So you have to pull it once you start getting vegetation. Whereas this, you can just leave it in place if you want, or you can pull it and reuse it.
Oh, I like that idea.
Yeah, it depends on how long it's been sitting there. You might be able to reuse it once or twice before it biodegrades too much.
Given how expensive it is.
And my brother measured it out. It's about 50 feet per roll.
Wow.
I said 100, so yeah, this actually came out. I only came out here to get this ECB. I usually don't go back out to projects once we get the vegetation established. It came out pretty good.
Yeah, it did. It's got to be nice to like actually get to, you have a reason to come see your work.
Yeah. This is what it looked like before I came out. So that's with ECB.
Wow.
Yeah, completely
Yeah.
bare. And it'd been like that for a full year. That's all that over there.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So I had them reseed with the proper seed, and I had them ECB that. And then, let me see. Should have dates on here, and I'll tell you how long it took for the grass to start growing. So that's January 18th, 2023.
Whoa, really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. That looks like that grass looks like it's been there for 100 years.
And then, so that's when the grass actually started growing through, and that should be April.
Okay, wow.
April, about 2 months.
Awesome. Here, you need a
I
hand.
was wondering if these would be safer just laying back there, the one on top, or
I was really disappointed. I thought we were done moving the ECB, so I'm thrilled and delighted to have the opportunity to do it one more time.
Well, you'll be doing it several more times before it all gets installed.
When you were explaining the count of like how many rolls we have, I was thinking about my backyard where I only have, I think, 6 more, but I've already brought a load out to the ranch.
Yeah. How many times, every time you come to my house, you buy more straps? What do you do with them all?
They get eaten, they blow off the trailer. I don't know. Like now we finally have a giant stockpile. It's one of those things where they're kind of weird to store. So we have a pile in the truck, we have a pile in a shed, we have a pile in another truck, chains everywhere. It's kind of like the same problem that small businesses have with inventory. Yeah. With like, I couldn't tell you how many straps I own. I know it's way over a dozen.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing with these is like, I couldn't store at my apartment. I have a house too. I could have kept them over there, but I couldn't store more than about 5 or 6 of them before my whole, my whole patio was taken up. So this is just a lot easier for me.
You have a house and an apartment?
Yeah, I own a house and then I rent an apartment.
Okay.
But I don't live in my house. My grandfather lives there right now.
Gotcha. All right, well, I feel like, oh yes, thank you.
Don't want to run off with it.
Kind of feel like we're hitting and running, but I appreciate you.
Yeah, no problem, no problem. I was sitting there doing work anyway, and I got to get home. 4-hour drive back to Fort Worth. So.
Is that how, I was about to get on Google Maps and see what we were in for.
Yeah, it's about 4 hours. So y'all have fun.
Likewise. That was a very successful visit. I really enjoyed getting to know Casey and just learning how to use the ECB and combining it with broadcasting seeds. It's quite a bit of driving, but I think you'll agree that that was well worth the trip. We got a whole bunch of Agave salmiana now planted on the new terrace, in addition to all of the ECB that Casey was able to hook us up with. There's always a lot going on the ranch that doesn't make it onto the videos. If you want to stay up to date with what's happening at Dust Up's Ranch, then go to dustupsranch.com, sign up for the newsletters, and you will stay up to date. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next episode.